When it comes to iconic voices, no voice actor is stuck in the back of your mind like Justin Roiland. Co-creator of Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites, Justin Roiland may not have too many voices under his belt, but some of his roles are iconic. But which of these voices are good, and which are bad? I'm Dan with Wicked Binge, and this is Justin Roiland Voices, Good to Evil. One rule is necessary for this list. Only 2 characters per show, especially from a show like Rick and Morty where you could throw a dart at a list of characters. Obviously, these characters are voiced by Roiland. With that out of the way, we're gonna start off this list with the good. Starting off the good section and gaining our gold medal of good is Fudio 3000 from Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus. Fudio 3000 is a robot created by Dr. Membrane to create and serve food to the Membrane family. They are shown to be compassionate and respectful, as well as being curious about things such as love. It is also revealed that they genuinely care about the Membrane family, and is shown to be in distress when Clembrain only serves them pudding. Fudio does nothing wrong throughout the movie and definitely deserves our gold medal. Snatching the silver medal of good is Fishhook's Oscar Fishtooth. Oscar is the neurotic nerd and brother to main character Milo. He is also the ignored voice of reason for the group. He is shown to be a friendly fish who tries to be friends with anyone possible, even if it doesn't always go the way he expects. Due to being the voice of reason amongst his friends, he can be seen as a worrywart or party pooper. However, it is shown that he does this because he truly cares about his friends and brother. He will do anything he needs to do to help them or make them happy. Oscar is a good friend and brother. However, like most characters his age, he is shown to be selfish at times, bringing down his score a little.
I'm gonna put my earplugs in to block out your crying.
But the bronze medal of good goes to Chris from out there. Chris is a cunning, crafty child who wants to leave the small town of Holford. He becomes good friends with another child named Chad, and the two go on various misadventures throughout the show. Chris is a good friend to Chad and tries his best to help him. This can range from him helping teach Chad about the female body, to trying to help Chad woo the new girl Destiny. However, he's not all good, as he does try to drive his mom's new boyfriend out of her life because he didn't like him. But with a character like Chris, his good definitely outweighs his bad. He was willing to raise any money he could find to help Chad get out of his debt, and that's just one of his better actions. Up next is the time cop Blendon Blandon from Gravity Falls. Blendon is a time traveler for the Time Anomaly Removal Crew who helps prevent timeline anomalies. He comes to the Mystery Shack to investigate an anomaly accidentally created by a mix of actions committed by him as well as by Dipper and Mabel. He is then arrested for crimes he didn't commit and vows revenge on Dipper and Mabel, getting out of time prison to do so. He then invokes Globnar, a gladiatorial game he was going to use to get his revenge. However, this was a justified action. He later forgives Mabel and Dipper after they apologize, and then he gets a job with the TARV again. He is then overtaken by Bill, and then gets almost obliterated by the Flying Dorito. Blendon is nothing more than an idiot when it comes down to it, and we really can't rank him any lower. Hailing from Adventure Time, Lemon Hope comes next on our list. Lemon Hope is a lemon candy person created by Lemon Grab. He was shown to be quite gifted amongst the Lemon Grab earldom, and Princess Bubblegum wanted to put him in a school for the gifted. This causes him to be locked up by the Earl, alongside Finn and PB, but he causes them to be released due to his impressive flute playing. He is then tutored by PB to save the citizens of the earldom, but decides to leave to experience true freedom, leaving the other citizens out to dry for a while. He does eventually relent and saves the earldom alongside killing Lemon Grab, but even after all this, he lives on his own for hundreds of years. Lemon Hope is a good guy at heart, but leaving his friends, family, and fellow citizens out to dry does bring him down. Maybe a bit of a hot take, but rounding out the good section of our list is Trover from Trover Saves the Universe. Trover is an alien working alongside Tom, the main character controlled by the player. Working alongside is not exactly true, as he is actively controlled by Tom and therefore by the player. Trover is kind of a douche throughout the game, especially towards Tom, but besides his words, he has no control over most of his actions throughout the game. Not to mention, even the worst things he does are also part of the job to some degree. If he had full control, he might rank lower, but he lands here on the list as it stands. With that out of the way, we now go into the gray area. Starting the gray area of our list is the Aqua Teen Hunger Force character with a long name. It's Honest Abe Lincoln's Hot Link sausage mascot. The giant bearded cougar sausage is the mascot for Honest Abe Lincoln's Hot Links and appears in the episode Mouth Quest. He is shown destroying downtown during one of his advertisements, as well as freeing slaves and chopping wood as Abe Lincoln did. However, out of the commercial, he does argue with the Aqua Teens quite frequently about the promotion of the brand. The only saving grace for this character is he does help Meatwad find his mouth. However, we can't exactly tell what parts of his story are true, so all in all, he lands in the gray area, because if he does actively destroy cities, he has to be taken down a peg. Up next on our list is Psychopath Giraffe, hailing from Pig Goat Banana Cricket. Psychopath Giraffe is exactly what it says on the tin, an anthropomorphic giraffe who is also a psychopath. He has to deal with a few different mental illnesses like psychosis and schizophrenia, which drive him to break the law. He's also responsible for the theft of the presidential pickle due to hearing his mother's voice in his head. We can't rank him lower because all of his crimes come from his illness, and none of them are particularly bad crimes to us. Up next on the list is Doug Cheston from the superhero show Invincible. Doug is the son of a rich pharmaceutical company owner and a student of Upstate University. He is shown to be a braggart and sort of a pervert, trying to use his dad's status and money as a selling point into sleeping with him. However, he is kidnapped and forced into becoming a Rihanna man, going on a murderous rampage across campus. He then gets into a fight with Invincible and sees his disfigured face, taking his own life because of this. Doug was kind of a douche before his transformation. Afterwards, it was a mix of his orders and pure confusion, so he couldn't go any further down. But now that he is deceased, he solidifies his placement. Coming from the show Hot Streets, Chubby Webbers is next on our list. Chubby is an intelligent bipedal dog who helps investigate paranormal and criminal activities throughout his town. He is commonly seen as a fearful dog. Despite this, he tries his best to be brave at times when necessary. He helps find out that Bransky was falsely diagnosed for a scam the hospital was pulling, and helps the rest of the crew on multiple occasions. However, he does get addicted to murder powder at one point, and that doesn't go well. He's also responsible for releasing the alien that overtook the planet at one point. We can't in good conscience raise him much higher, but in all honesty, he's not that bad of a dog. One half of the iconic crew from Rick and Morty, Morty Smith is the next character on our list. Morty is the grandson of dimensional jumping scientist Rick Sanchez, and is commonly seen adventuring with his grandfather. As an infant and a child, he was filled with the insecurities of his father Jerry, which explains a lot of his issues. He is shown to be a good-natured kid at most points, save for his intense anger issues in episodes like Look Who's Purging Now. Despite this, he is shown to be generally the perfect sidekick during the first couple seasons. He's even shown to be quite responsible for his age, and quite smart, even though he disagrees with this assessment. He can distract the mind-reading fart and make a less potent but still functional pleural fluid. He ranks here because he does have a lot, and we mean a lot, of bodies under his belt. He probably has one of the highest body counts on this list. The only reason we can't rank him lower is that he might get better as the series goes on, because we have plenty of series left. However, as it stands, he ranks here near the bottom of the gray area. And with that wrapping up the gray area of our list, we now head down to the worst of the worst. These are the bad to evil. Kicking off the bad to evil area on our list is Corvotron from Solar Opposites. Corvo is the leader and smartest member of the crew who went to Earth on their terraforming mission. While he is smart, Corvotron is ill-equipped regarding Earth's customs and does not do well in social situations. Corvo is also shown to be introverted, pessimistic, and close-minded, making his already awkward social skills even worse. Despite all of this, he shows that he harbors some sort of deep romantic feelings for his partner Terry. He's even willing to go overboard for this attraction, banning dinner parties from their town specifically because he felt Terry was abandoning him. He is also hyper-focused on his goal and wants to terraform Earth as soon as physically physically possible, albeit he has to wait for the poopa more than anything. However, he does rank this low for a good reason. It is implied that he digs up and does unspeakable things to corpses, as well as captures children in a hole in the middle of the road. He also destroys part of the city with the giant fun bucket, wants to kill Vanbo, and builds the robot Patricia, which kills dozens of people. He also reveals tons of personal secrets to the public during an election. Corvo is not that bad of a guy on the surface, but upon digging deeper, it's quite obvious that he's not that good of a guy either. Our old friend, the Earl of Lemongrab from Adventure Time, ranks next on our list. Lemongrab is technically two different people made into a third body, so we're gonna count all of his actions as if he was one person. Lemongrab was created by Princess Bubblegum, and is the first of her experiments that is said to have gone wrong. He eventually created his own earldom with help from his mother, and led a tyrannical city-state with very few freedoms. He regularly cannibalizes and consumes the lemon people of his earldom, sometimes for sustenance and sometimes just for fun. Despite this, after being reborn as Lemongrab III, he has shown to mellow out substantially. He even helps his mother during the Gum War, despite his protest for her to unmake him. Despite his constant claim that things are unacceptable, he does deem a kiss from Lumpy Space Princess acceptable. He may feel the same about his ranking on our list. Now, gaining our bronze medal of evil is Chris the Red Goobler from Solar Opposites. Chris is a red goobler, which is only created every 100,000th goobler through immense pain to the Schlorpian who produces it. His sole goal in life is to kill Corvo, either directly or indirectly, and he comes close to doing this, stressing him out substantially. However, after Terry and Corvo thwart him, he escapes and seems to chill out thanks to his fiancée Jen. Despite him chilling out, he does cheat on Jen with Corvo and ends up vowing revenge on him because he felt bad about cheating. Chris is consistently willing to do anything to complete his purpose and kills anyone or anything in his way. If it wasn't for the fact that this was legitimately his life's purpose and what he was made for, he would probably rank lower on our list, but he has a pretty good spot right now. Snatching up the silver medal of evil is Rick and Morty's Rick Sanchez. Rick is a scientist and dimensional traveler who takes his grandson, Morty, on his adventures throughout the universe. Initially, his backstory is shrouded in mystery. However, we do get to see bits and pieces of it throughout the series. He had a wife and a daughter who were killed by an alternate universe version of him in an attempt to make Rick understand and create interdimensional travel. Rick then goes on a revenge trip trying to avenge his family and kill the alternate version of him. He became a weapons dealer and then became friends with both Bird Person and Squanchy, the three of them forming a dangerous band of misfits. He led the rebellion against the Galactic Federation, which had some pretty good results, enough to make more than enough enemies throughout the galaxy. He then went to murder dozens of alternate versions of himself, becoming known as the quote-unquote Rickest Rick. Despite his hatred towards them, he is also responsible for the creation of the Citadel and inadvertently the Council of Ricks. He then lands in an alternate version of his daughter's life and takes Morty on multiple adventures. He then gets a pretty heavy god complex, even being called a god by multiple other people throughout the series for various reasons. He's also responsible for the general mayhem that follows the Smith family and their travels in the galaxy. Rick is pretty bad and does not feel much remorse for his actions, at least not initially, but he is still outclassed by our quite villainous gold medalist. Finally, the gold medal of evil goes to the main antagonist of Trover Saves the Universe, Glorkon. Glorkon was once an abstainer, a giant bird-like creature who was sworn to abstain from interfering with any of the events in the universe. But Glorkon grew quite bored of this place in the universe and wanted to stake his own claim. While it is unknown exactly what his initial plans were, it all came to a head with his final plan. He kidnaps Tom's dogs to use in place of the typical power babies that insert in most people's eye holes. These quote-unquote power puppies increase his powers beyond his wildest dreams. He goes on to try to complete his final goal, that being his dream to destroy the entire cosmos. He wants to destroy every planet in the galaxy to flesh out and create his true fetishist love. He intends to create a giant mass of genitals for unknown reasons, but assuming to enjoy their company, to put it in a tame way. He then creates hundreds of thousands of clones of himself as guards amongst the many planets of the cosmos to stop people from stopping his plan, as mentioned earlier. He uses the power puppies to merge, destroy, and create worlds for fun, even creating a planet made of just sugar for no discernible reason. Glorkon is leagues ahead of Rick regarding evil intentions. While Rick is selfish, Glorkon wants to destroy the cosmos for little more than his own personal pleasure. But don't worry, the vast array of Justin Roiland's iconic voices are getting a few of our extra medals. Firstly, grabbing the Darwin medal for the dumbest character in the series goes to Blendon Blandon, who gets tricked both by Dipper and Mabel into leaving his time machine and by Bill into giving up his body. Next, grabbing our Wrath medal is our old friend Chris the Red Goobler, whose literal life goal is to kill his creator, and he is also shown to be quite irritable. Earning the Lust medal is Oscar Fishtooth, who has an unhealthy obsession and crush on his classmate B, which kind of falls into the creepy territory at times. The Pride medal goes to Rick Sanchez, who literally sees himself as a god at times. Finally, the Envy medal goes to Corvo, who is quite envious of Terry's abilities to make friends on Earth. But let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.